Senzo was a very kind person. I've never seen Senzo being sad or angry in the camp.
Like us, sikhuliswa ngenhlonipho. Uma nobaba bekabantu abasifundisa nje kufanele sihloniphe, umuntu omdala uyahlonipha, omunye umuntu nje uyamhlonipha. Sikhule sikhonza sonke lapha ka-M Holy Apostolic Church, siyingane sonke, sazi every Sunday sonke ngisenkonzweni. Mina okay, usikhona usisi wami omdala nokuthula, kubo Nonhlanhla, kube yimina, kubo Senzo, benosiyayiwele lela Ellen, then bese kuboza. Ona ikasi la. Mhlambe sabancane besifunda ngisafunda e-high primary. Besibuya esikoleni ngithanda ukudayisa la ekhaya. Besibuya esikoleni sibuya uma bedayisa inyama ngaphansi, usu nethumbu. Besibuya esikoleni yazi ukuthi ngebhakede lakho la, ibhakede leli besihamba nayo senze. Ibhakede lifakiwe usu phakathi, nethumbu nosinyaka. Sahamba singena imizi ngemizi siyadayisa, kodwa fanele senze sure clean lapho. Ngofanele sibe presentable into yethu nje, umuntu noma ebuka bothi hayi la ngathenga.
Having interacted with his family, I can tell you, Senzo loved his family. I heard stories about how he had dreams about making sure that everybody was taken care of, making sure that everybody that needed help in the family gets the help that they needed. So interacting with their family gave me a glimpse of the kind of person that he was, very shy, very reserved, but also a family man, a family person who also loved his community.
Umuntu benothando, umuntu bengayithwali, musumbuka kulela zinga kulona umuntu phela abanye abantu imali yabashintsha. Sothi umuntu akasangeneki. Yena kwesisikhathi sothi khona izinto azozenza azangimangaza. Athi azingicanga ngikwenza ukuthi uzongifonela, hey, uqange right le ndlela mangenza kanje, ya, ngithuka ngimlabe. Yelo umuntu sakwazi ukubuza kumina esephila impilo ekulile zinga leli. Yabo kwakungimangaza lo kwakungithobisa. Ngithi lo muntu lo uyisibusiso. Angithanda inhliziyo yakhe kakhulu ukuthi uyathanda ukusiza abantu.
The loss of his twin brother kind of changed Senzo Meyiwa. What we hear from his family is that he was a very timid, very reserved person prior to the passing of his brother, and they noticed sort of a shift after his passing.
Beyiwelela Senzo, befunda ndawonye eKhuthala. Kwakuyena wayestrong nje namandla ngobeza umlwelo uSenzo ukuthi esikoleni bamhlupha kuyena lo qhamuka velalo ashaya ingane lapho usenze umuntu osoft kakhulu. But washeshe basishiya ngisazi noma ngo-1991 noma 1990.
When his brother lost his life, Senzo Meyiwa was also in the same incident. They had gone to the beach with his father, and while they were swimming as kids, they suddenly disappeared in the water.
Bezwe nje ingane siziyakhalthwa uSenzo basabuya emanzini. Awubelethe babheka basababona inhlobo lapha emanzini. Kanti sebathathwa amanzi bashonisa le phambili. Hayi baba khumule azama ukungena lapha emanzini, hayi abantu bazama ukumvimba. Hey, phela isikhashana uSenzo vele.
Futhi uSenzo eqala ukudlala ibhola wengayona goalkeeper. Senzo bedlala strike uSenzo. Kusuke ngalo mfethu ade ngimchaza ukuthi uJoe. Uyena esibona sidlala esikoleni eKhuthala. Yabo wasibona siyathanda ibhola siyimisele ngalo. Wasiyasicela wasithi anibeni feni zodlala nezinye izingane ezingangane. Bese siyafika ke nathi. So la ifika khona sifika na uSenzo mina bengidlala istrike uSenzo striker na. So kusho ukuthi ngelinye ilanga sidlala la ibhola shuthi uJu asibone ukuthi hayi ngathi sikhuthele ebholeni yabo. Kanti ngelinye ilanga sosidlala kuvene kulimala ugoalkeeper. Athi Senzo uba uzovimba athi Senzo ngizokwazi ukuvimba. Bengakholwa abanye. Ayaqaleka vimbeke uSenzo ke lapho. Shuthi nabo bathi bambona uSenzo lo muntu uyakwazi ukuvimba yabo. Libedlala ke nje njalo ngama weekend kodwa behlezi silandwa ngama weekend njalo silanda ngama weekend.
You look at the people that have known him from a young age, that have watched him grow in Ireland. It's a soccer field that is in Umlazi, where he grew up playing football. The people that watched him there, the people that were friends with him at the time.
Uma ngihamba la kuba memories amaningi yabo. Ngesinye isikhathi sothi siyadlala i-opponent yami sothi siyajima. Kufanele ngikorelene kube nzima yabo. Ngibuye ngize ngithethise ukuthi hayi wenzani manje yabo. Futhi ipalo lithanda kakhulu yena kahle kahle ile sibhenga kulona yabo. Wethanda ukuvimbela kulela side leliya yabo. Engabi khona ke amanzi kanje okuse ground linotshani kukuhle nje ku right yabo. Senzo mina ifiso eyishela nami sasijela ukuthi masisihleli la sibuke lapha kokuyimizi ehlala abantu aba right le yabo esho ukuthi imfethu esho futhi ukuthi mina ukufisa ifiso zami ukuthi ngidlalele iPirates ngibe goalkeeper iPirates ngithenga umuzo kanje yabona koyifiso zakhe ethi ekhaya futhi ngibasuse nje uyabona lonto endaweni ukuthi asikho right uyabona lonto ngoba phela nakubo bebehlanganisa ngokuthi ngidayisa amakheke uyabona siphinde futhi sidle le mali yamakheke nama sesilambele ground phinde futhi sishawele kona futhi lokho
Ngitshela ngokuthi when he was first discovered, uqale kuphi kahle kahle icareer yakhe yebhola.
Kwasingeyila ngokuqhamuka omunye insizwe kuthiwa uSoweto walapha kaEli. Wayecoacha iLondon Cosmos. Waba ngaphandle wabuka la edlala lo goalkeeper lo goalkeeper yavimba lo Senzo lapha evimba wani. Kanti uyabuka bonke nabadlali kwathi iqeda igame wambiza noma athi icela sojoin team yakhe iLondon Cosmos no Senzo ambiza wakhetha nje abadlali. Kusuka lapho ivele neLondon Cosmos ayijimela lapho kuswela lapho sesiyasuka siyojima ke kuyona iLondon Cosmos. Okuyiyona futhi le London Cosmos kuyona yagcina imise le Orlando Pirates ngoba yona iLondon Cosmos futhi ngathi yaba ne friendly game eyidlala ne development yePirates ngathi babesa under 13 noma ngasakhumbula babedlalaphi bebedlala nayo iOrlando Pirates yayidlala iOrlando Pirates development kodwa bayishaya bayishaya evimba wani uSenzo lapho ucoach wayo leyathi mazo wacela umshayela amapenalty wathi amshayele ucoach wayo iPirates wayimshayela wavimba bathi ngeke siyamfuna lo mfundisi ezoshaya ama trials kusukela lapho bambona lapho bamhlanganisela uSoweto yena uSoweto bamhlanganisela benosikhulu sashona uThomas bamhlanganisela izinto zokuthi akhuphuke aye goal kuma trials yes bahamba futhi ijethi uyabuya nje ithi ngawuzathi wathi hayi ngisabuya sebengithathile kuthiwa ngizofundiswa khona la sajabula
Uyadlala ke seka ku Pirates waya ku national team. Ngitshele ukuya ku national team kuze kanjani lo?
Kwakuyinto engangayilindele. Ngoba ngiyakhumbula wangisendela i-message before kumenyezelwe. Message yakhona ayithini ngoba ngisakhumbula kodwa ngikhumbula sekumenyezelwa. Ngibona ucoach uShay Smasha bememezela ukuthi sizoba national team captain. Ngamsendela i-message la boss ngathi mina awujama waza kanjani ukuthi uzoba ucaptain? Wasenda igama elilodwa lapho athi Moses. Wathi ngoMoses. Uzobakhulula labantu. Kade labantu bengaqualify manje ngibakhulula ke manje. Nzima yabo nje ngosuku lokuqala kwafonwa ngalo kuthiwa akasekho emhlabeni angihleli ngale erumini ngale kwathiwa uSenzo akasekho. Mengiphuma ngiza la ngifika uma nobaba ngicabanga bahleli la babuka iTV bambuka igame yaphinda. Babuka le game le ayisiphinda. Kufanele ngingene mina ngizoshuthi akasekho lo muntu abambukayo la edlala. Wabanzima kakhulu. Abadlali bahluma sasacela omunye umama la makhelwane ugogo njalo kwayena ozongena ozobatshela. Ayisilile saqhuma la.
When it came to defining moments, Meyiwa was literally always on hand, making that all important save.
Bafike bamlibayilethe nje yabo.
Khuluma nomuntu oseshonile.
Kanjani usu? Bafike umlandi awuduthingo ngelinye ilanga.
Landa bese umlanda.
Ngoba ngathi akazanga nemgcwabeni.
Just a mere mention of Senzo Meyiwa's name is a reminder to the family of how he lost his life, the tragic way in which he lost his life.
Ngathi hawu kodwa bengahambi ngani mina. Yivethe le umuntu ayisangena ngayo. Ithawo lo muntu benamaphupha ngaka. Efisa ukuphakamisa kangaka umndeni.
And over and above that, the damage of the grave symbolizes, particularly for Senzo Meyiwa, that there is somebody that is fighting the family.
Ngicasula kakhulu indaba yokushaya katshe. Ngabothi shudla abantu basempini. Khona abantu abasilwisayo. Nakhona sagcina singatholanga ukuthi oba kodwa nje yabo lana babesenda isithombe kunje. Babayalwa nathi. Lazama ukuphenya leyo nto ngagcina ngatholakala ngamuntu kodwa nje hayi. Konke sesikubeka kumdala ukuthi whatever yenzakalayo uNkulunkulu egcineni uyophendula.
You almost see how Senzo Meyiwa's twin became a very important part of his life. Many of the people speak about his twin. When you ask them about Senzo, they tell you about his twin in the early years of his life. This is the same person that was ultimately had to be exhumed. His remains had to be exhumed after Senzo Meyiwa passed, and he was then reburied with Senzo in the same grave. And that is why the issue around the damage of the grave is such a thorny issue for that family. It's because it's not only Senzo Meyiwa that is in that grave, but also his twin. The damage on the grave and the names of the people who were buried in that grave now lies on the sides of the grave. You almost see how it was broken, and you almost have to read through the cracks that lie on the side of the tombstone. Sia's name, you see Senzo Robert Meyiwa just on the side. The family pieced together what is left and sort of placed their surname on top of the grave. So their names are not there. It's just the Meyiwa surname that is on top of their grave, a symbol perhaps that the Meyiwas are buried in this grave. So in the first 4 years, nothing happened. And we hear in court that this case was under Brigadier Shibir, who has now moved on to a different unit. But in that period, we saw the arrest of Zamoguhle Mbata. He had dreadlocks, and it appeared at a later stage that he was known to the Khumalo family. And he was subsequently released. The last time I spoke to him off record, he indicated that he was embarking and exploring possibilities of suing the state for wrongful arrest. But fast forward to 2018, this particular case is then moved and given to the National Cold Case Unit. It is declared cold because nothing is happening. No person is being arrested. The investigations are just not yielding any results. In 2018, Brigadier Bongani Gininda is tasked with leading the cold case unit in this particular investigations. And there he has the likes of Sergeant Ramohala, he has the likes of Sergeant Batu Mohola, Sergeant Mohane, but also Warrant Officer Meshak Makubo, as well as Captain Joyce Butelezi. Those are the people that were tasked to investigate this matter from 2018 going forward. But difference in opinion leads to fractures in the case. So the fractures in the investigating team led to the opening of the second docket, docket 375 of 1/2019.
Accused 1 to 6, they hatched a plan and informed the police that they were robbed at gunpoint by unknown persons. Number 2, accused 7, she cleaned the crime scene prior to the arrival of the police. Which acts defeated or obstructed the administration of justice?
I never heard of a case that had 2 dockets. It was a novelty in this particular case when we subsequently learned that there was another docket. But, fast forward, the team breaking up, others going to 375. We then start the matter of 636.
I'm happy to announce that there's been a breakthrough in the Senzo Meyiwa murder case. The first 5 suspects have been arrested between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. this morning in Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal.
leli singalazi leli nale phoyisa lembumbulu leli bahamba uvumbulu isiboshwa ayikho leyo nto. Vuka Senzo, vuka mntana methuneni. Baba kaSenzo vuka. Vukani nime nilwe. Ilwani manje isikhathi ukuthi nilwe. Mndeni kaMeyiwa basingile baphingoshe. Vukani mathuneni. Vuka namba abantu badlala ngathi sekwanele. Badlala ngathi. Ngoba sike nabantu banayimali.
Ngangilandela ukuzaleka kwami mina uqobo ngagcina ngithi ke namhlanje ngizele umzakhulelwa uye yedwa indodana yami ekhona la ekhaya engethembele kuyo.
That trial gets underway.
Witness will testify that after Robert Meyiwa was shot in that house, died at the scene.
But suddenly stops because Judge Chipika Maumela had fallen ill, and there was later suspension over an allegation that he did not deliver judgments timeously. 2023, Judge Ratamakwateng is appointed to now run the trial de novo, and we know him from the trials of Richard Mdluli, the former spy boss. He sentenced Richard Mdluli. The likes of the Tulsi twins were also sentenced by Judge Ratamakwateng. You'll also remember the urgent application in the matter involving WHP after his passing and the wife. So Judge Ratamakwateng runs this trial till date.
She is linked to the actual perpetrators of this murder by means of cell phone linkages. These linkages connect her to accused 3 and 5. It was further discovered that through cell phone analysis, her cell phone memory album has the same photo of a see-through bag containing cash, notes, and in the exact position or location or spot of that of accused number 3. There is no reasonable explanation as to why Kelly Khumalo will be in contact telephonically with the headman or killers of a boyfriend and share the same picture of a bag full of money.
The fabrication of the evidence will not assist in this court because we need the truth. The WhatsApp call was not in operation during the period of October, during the period of 2014.
He never had shot dreadlocks as described by the witnesses.
Nakho kunele segcina eselalela ukininda futhi esebuya ezongitshela ukuthi hayi lo muntu is got a strong case ngana akho strong case la yonke into lapha fabricated ngase ngamshiya ke lapha basala uma basala khona kodwa ngile ngichaza ukuthi labantu laba ngabasasiza ngoba manje babhizi babambelele kule yanto yokuthi labafana abawu5 ibona suspect akwangokuya bagcina beyibona manje bayibona ukuthi hayi no labafana ngempela abanacala sesibona nje ngendlela yodwa manje ukuthi bonke labo accused aba5 ba abangeni kule cala ba innocent.
The delays in delivering justice is one of the reasons why the family was standing on opposite fences in the first place. Had this case been resolved when it happened, the Meyiwa family would perhaps be singing a different tune today. They probably wouldn't have gone through everything that they went through. And you almost see it in the utterances as I was interacting with them. Sfiso says, you know, he's accepted that his brother is gone. What remains now is for those that took his brother's life to be jailed. And justice for him looks slightly different from what people are watching on television every day.
Njengoba enengane no Kelly asumndeni nimephi ngalokho ngengane hayi uma wengane
uthingo hayi uthingo ngihleze ngibuka ngisho amavideo akho Kelly lapha ngimbuka ukuthi ngonane ithombe zakhe la hleze ngimbuka ngiyafisa ukuthi sigcine agcine esazi umndeni azi nezingane ezinye zonke azi wonke umuntu wala ekhaya hayi futhi khona sokwafona la afonela uma eThabaka Khumalo bafisa ukuthi balethe uthingo uma wangifonela ngathi awuyazi kade phela umuntu ayikhulekela lonto wathi batshela ukuthi bangithinde nami ayingalinda ngithi bazongifonela akaze kodwa bafona wabe sengijabula nami ngithi awunayo lento engangiyifisa siyenzeka manje kodwa siyakholwa samthemba uNkulunkulu sogcina siqhumene naye sikwazi ukuthi sibe nobudlelwane nabo naye ingane.
Siyayibona iyaposta mayo yayiposta idlala ibhola
hayibo ngathuka kabi ngajabula futhi konje la ngambona khona kuthiwa washama gola u3 ngathi hayibo futhi italent elidlulele nakuyena manje yabo ngiyangijabulisa ngihlezi ngabuka amavideo akhe.
Uma wakhe yena
yangaze ngixhumane mina naye umuntu owaxhumana naye kwakusisi wami nokuthula futhi emva kokushona kaSenzo mezama ukumthinta ifoni ngathi akasamtholi noma mkhulu sazama ukuthi akazama ukuxhumana nabo azama ukuxhumana senda ama message ayibangaphendula
kodwa nibona ukuthi naye uma kathingo nizobuya nitholane ngelinye ilanga.
Yes, I believe ukuthi sogcina sitholana ngelinye ilanga.
As umndeni ni open to it.
Yeah, anginayo inkinga.
We know for a fact that South Africa is poorer today without Senzo Meyiwa. And we dip our sporting banners for this fallen hero. And we know for a fact that there is no grave big enough to bury this African elephant.
Mamelo from a Celtic, she was a Celtic supporter by then. Now she's a Sundowns supporter. She called me and then she said, "Did you hear what happened, Mama Joy, with Senzo?" And then I said, "What?" And then the call cut.
It was unexpected because the way it happened also, I could not see Senzo in that area at that time of the night. But I guess I was with friends, and the facts are still sketchy for me, what actually happened. I'm told that they went in and asked for a cell phone, and I said the cell phone only can get somebody to be killed like a criminal. I say it can't be. And that is why I'm appealing to the media, to everybody, that just help us to get the culprit, so they must know the actual reason what actually happened.
Our message is very clear that they can run, but they will not hide. And they've taken an innocent soul, an asset of the nation. And in this particular regard, they must pay for what they have done.
Do you remember when he was, when the day of his funeral, when the Minister of Sport then was Minister Mbalula, he said to us, we are going to catch them and we are going to put them in jail and whatever. That day I was like having hope that I know he has been killed, but someone will go to jail for what he did. But here is 10 years, nothing is happening.
And then drill them. So Kininda is here for business. He needs business. He's not going to come back, buddy. He's going to finish them.
I used to do legal case analysis on Facebook. And when the Senzo Meyiwa trial was about to start, one of my friends on Facebook asked me to do the legal analysis thereof. So the first posts of the Senzo Meyiwa trial were done on Facebook. And then later on in 2022, when the matter went to trial, I started that contest.
You were a prosecutor. You should know this. And if you don't know this, that the confession without the corroboration is nothing more than just words in the wind, then you've got a problem.
The Senzo Meyiwa case has always been my interest. I've always researched on it because it was a matter that was left hanging. So when I saw Danny on his platform, I then decided to share my contribution and the outcomes of what I have researched.
I don't know whether I should call it Kelly Khumalo confessed or Kelly Khumalo accidentally exposed herself.
I developed a serious interest. So I've been following the Senzo Meyiwa case, right? So it was not a struggle for me to even start a YouTube channel, right? Because I've been following the case on a day-to-day basis.
Because this is a polarizing case, and this is one of the cases where you hardly come across somebody that says, I'm in the middle, I don't know what to believe. It's either you are part of the Ndanzi Nation, as they call themselves, those who are for the defense, the 375ers, which is the second docket. They believe in that. They believe the accused are innocent. Or you are Team Baloyi, Team State, Team We're Cruising Nicely, the people that actually believe the story.
Wrong polo, wrong color of a polo, wrong people who were arrested. 3, the positioning of the same accused is questionable. So already you've got 3 things.
My audience have taken a specific side, and the court, or what is happening, or what has happened, it's basically not helping in terms of changing the mindset. Someone in the house took the life of Senzo Meyiwa, and someone powerful paid people to get this thing, somehow get people arrested and let's cover up everything. So that's the position. Like I said, I feel that the court has not done enough to dispel what my audience believe. I don't think they've done enough.
I don't care about Mugosi. I care about the evidence that's there, that Rata is looking at. You know what Rata is looking at is what I want to look at. Everything else is irrelevant.
I think perceptions have significantly changed, Linda, since the matter has unfolded. Initially, when we started, it was clear two camps. On my life, people who came on the panel, it was always those who favors the state and those who are for the defense. But later on, we started having people change their minds. I think so far we've had over 100 people coming on the live saying, you know what, guys, I used to think you are biased. I used to attack you, but since I have followed the evidence, not us, since I have followed the evidence, now I am convinced that these guys have got a case to answer. Not guilty yet, but they've got a case to answer. So there has been a significant shift. Even lately, we did a post after the recent testimony by Brigadier Gininda when another name was thrown into the head, that of Longwetwala. People have shifted their views completely.
What are your thoughts on what the state has led so far?
Look, I can't give a definitive view and position because I don't know the contents of the docket. But I'll confirm that it is based on circumstantial evidence. But I'll also confirm that circumstantial evidence means that you don't look at the evidence in isolation. You don't look at the gun alone and look at the testimony of the ballistic evidence or the ballistic expert alone, and you look at... So circumstantial evidence says you look at everything holistically. And if you look at everything holistically, what inference can you draw from that? Now let's look at it. You've got 3 people who are in the house who testified, right? And all 3 of them say there were gunshots. You've got a neighbor that says, I heard gunshots. So the first box we tick, there were gunshots in the house. How many, it differs from the testimony of the witnesses, but we know that there were gunshots at the house. 2, we've got witnesses who were in the house who says the person that was shot was Senzo Meyiwa, right? People that were not in the house who say the person that was shot was Senzo Meyiwa. We take that. That's circumstantial evidence. But we also have evidence that says the gun that was used was found from the third accused who was investigated in another matter. And the ballistic expert in that matter says, these are the bullets that I tested, and this is what I found. The ballistic expert in this matter says, these are the bullets that I tested, and this is what I found. Both experts agree that there are similarities in all of this. Both experts agree that this is the gun that was fired, right? So we now have a gun. We then have to move. There's evidence by one gentleman, Zungu, who says, I was with these people at the hostel. And he then places all the time frames and what they were wearing and all of that. That's another evidence, circumstantial. But you need to connect that with the cell phone evidence. You need to connect that with what their versions are. You need to connect that with the banking transactions and all of that. And you need to connect that with, he says that, no, there was a gray Polo that was parked, that was parked, I think, before his car or behind him, I don't remember well. But you take all of that and you lead it. And if you look at the evidence holistically, what does it give you? And I think so far the state has done a good job. Look, you can never have perfect evidence. It doesn't happen. But I think they've laid a good base.
Me and my audience, basically, we looked at number 1. Let's speak about the DNA, right? The DNA expert. He says that it is inconclusive. And then from the DNA expert, it was the testimony. The testimony were inconsistent. And I'll give an example. You've got Ntapseng, who was standing outside with Yolanda, who said she had a bang, and then a first man with dreadlocks came running. And then a second bang, then 2 guys came running, right? And then jump, you hear the tracker expert. She says, Longwetwala left the house. But then you say, okay, Longwetwala was driving at about 20 kilometers per hour. I will assume he was probably driving if it was a manual, he was probably driving at gear number 2. Now, it doesn't help then, because Longatala, in an interview that he had in one of the radio stations, he said he left the house, he was out there looking for help, but then you're looking at how he's driving around. Number 1, the speed. Number 2, the tracker expert says he has been driving around for a very long time, right? So if you look at where they were, or where is Kutlanong Street, right? And you say, okay, from Kutlanong Street, where's police station? Police station was about 4 kilometers. So it doesn't make sense. I've just escaped a situation, very tense for that matter. 2 armed robbers have stormed into my place. I happen to escape. The first thing is to drive around, find help, drive to the police station. And that's a natural instinct. You will drive to the police station. But tracker expert tells us this man has been driving around. He has never been into a police station. Why?
There were some key moments during the evidence that gave me even a more clearer picture. And one such example is the testimony of Captain Mushwana. It was one of those testimonies that came in rapid successions, and we said on the live, if you missed some of those testimonies, Mushwana, Mabasa, Sergeant Nkosi, Dlamini and Masondo, if you missed those testimonies, you'll never understand what's happening in this trial, because those are the testimonies that bored a lot of people. But picking up on Mushwana's testimony, it gives us a clear indication how this case was bungled by the police, number 1. Number 2, it tells us that the right people were appointed from the get-go by the SAPS. The right people started asking the right questions, looking for the right answers. Mushwana tells us that Lieutenant Colonel Neethling immediately confiscated everybody's cell phone. Very same day after the crime. Those cell phones were taken to Captain Mushwana for downloading and analysis. But before Mushwana could complete his analysis, the following day he had a Constable Mahlaba, Smamatani, you know him, Constable Mahlaba, who said he was sent by Brigadier Ndlovu to come and collect those downloads. Now the big question was, where did Brigadier Ndlovu take those downloads? What did he do with them? Who was Brigadier Ndlovu aiding and abetting? Could it have been the mastermind, or could it have been one of the accused?
There's a lot of interest in what will happen to her. What does this mean for her, especially in light of the fact that the state will not be calling her to testify in their case when she is essentially one of the people that were inside that house. So there's a lot of interest, still a lot of interest where Kelly Khumalo is concerned, and how this case will end for her in particular.
The one thing that have stood out for me, Linda, is it was when finally the name of the mastermind, or the alleged mastermind, I must say, was revealed. Remember, all along, even on our lives, we've been very cautious of mentioning the name, and we were very careful to use the word alleged so and so. But when Sergeant Mohola was facing some fierce cross-examination from Advocate Charles Mnisi, and Mnisi asked her, who is this mastermind? Does this person, does he or she have a name? Mohola did not hesitate, and probably Mnisi must have thought Mohola is going to dilly-dally around the name, but she did not hesitate. And when that name was mentioned, we've always known the name, but we had to be cautious how we deal with the name. But over and above Mohola's submission on that particular day under cross-examination, Gininda also asked to say, I had also requested a J50 warrant of arrest for this particular person. I wanted to arrest this person, but this was a prosecution's-led investigations, and the prosecutor said, go back and find more information. So that moment for me, it was trying to close all the different views, because even those who are on the side of the defense, they've always wanted this person And the other name that has been brought in lately, that of Longwetwala, they've always wanted these people to account. Now the state, the investigation team was saying, yes, we've always had them under our radar as well. And this is the direction that we're taking as opposed to what you guys were thinking.
This case laid bare the cracks within the SAPS.
Classic example of this is Mnisi, the lawyer of accused number 3, tells us before the court that accused number 3 was contacted by Masondo and Dlamini. They told him that his firearm and his cell phone is not linked to the Senzo Meyiwa case. Why did they contact him in 2015 to tell him that? Because that was, no one had a clue in 2015 that he is connected to this matter. And the most important question that we must also ask is, why was the ballistic report not sent to Cleveland when that firearm was sent back to Cleveland? Obviously, without the ballistic report, it means that firearm will be destroyed.
Yes.
Because it wouldn't be clear in terms of who it belongs to. So you can see there were elements that were very questionable within the state. So just because we are leaning towards the state, it doesn't mean we are not going to highlight some of the cracks.
I'm critical when it comes to the police, the South African Police Service, because you cannot think of justice without the South African Police Service. And anything that happens around the South African Police Service, you are either building or destroying the image and the credibility of South African Police Service. So, I don't think South African Police Service, they gave us their best.
You often see that the criticism leveled at Judge Ratamokgotleng is not really substantive. If you remember when Rhoda van Gretchen had his trial going and Judge Lamont was presiding, the sternness, the manner in which Judge Lamont would intervene when the parties were cross-examining and would tell them. I mean, there's one instance, I think one of the advocates was cross-examining and Judge Lamont raised the question, so what are you going to ask next? That his tie was red. You know, I'm not going to allow that. And Judge Rata does the complete opposite of just allowing everybody to run their versions and to cross-examine as best as they can. And obviously, there are certain parameters in which evidence is laid and in which cross-examination is done.
And as a journalist telling a story like that is polarizing, you often get backlash for telling it like it is. And a lot of journalists I know have received backlash, particularly on social media.
When I was doing my research, I found that, okay, there are journalists whom most people feel, these ones, they've taken a side. So they are siding with the state. The manner in which they report, the manner in which they talk about everything, their tone, it sounds like, or it makes people think or feel that, these people.
For me, it would be the importance of strong and functioning state institutions. As a country, we need a strong and a functioning NPA. We need a strong and a functioning South African Police Service, and I think that's what this case has brought to the fore. It's beautiful to witness the state or the NPA build their case. A lot of people don't have hope in the NPA, but I think for those who are objective and those who don't have information biasness, they get to appreciate the difficulties in which the NPA operates and the great work that they've done.
It makes me think, how much must one have for one to get justice, right? But on the other hand, like I said, it made me believe in lawyers. Now, honestly speaking, I believe in lawyers.
So the appointment of the establishment of the cold case unit was a highlight for me in this case, because I've always said to my brother that I hope one day when the judgment is given, the mother of Senzo Meyiwa will still be alive to witness this, because this case has been dragging.
I'm hoping that viewers will be reminded of Senzo the person. Senzo, the man who had dreams. Senzo Meyiwa, the man who achieved his dreams. Senzo Meyiwa, the man who loved his family, who loved his community, gave back to young people who came from similar circumstances that he came from. I'm hoping that we're reminded of that, and that perhaps, the cloud that hangs over his head, we put it aside. We put that aside for a moment and remember a person, because flawed as he was, he also deserved to live.